So I want to talk to you about the most unhealthy relationship you have as a podcaster and how to fix that relationship. Let's go. This is podcast therapy. I want to let you know that the most unhealthy relationship that you have in your podcast isn't with your co-host. It isn't with your audience. It's your obsession with your podcast downloads. Now, I want you to stop looking at your podcast numbers. I know that feels strange, right? You're like, gasp, I need to know how many subscribers I'm getting. And don't get me wrong, listen, I'm all for what gets measured gets improved, but you have an unhealthy relationship with your podcast download numbers. And I know this because I talk to podcasters all day long, every day. And the first thing that comes out of their mouth is how many downloads they're getting and how they're not happy with that, how they want to get more downloads, more subscribers. I need to grow my audience, right? And it's this toxic relationship you have with an arbitrary number that doesn't represent you as a podcaster. It doesn't represent how good your content is. It doesn't represent how fast you're growing. And it doesn't represent whether you should continue podcasting or not. So I want to share a brief story with you that relates to focusing on a number and how it's unhealthy for you. So my wife is into fitness. She eats right. She works out, and she'll come downstairs and she'll have a look on her face. I'll say, honey, what's wrong? Well, I weighed myself and I gained a pound, right? And I'm like, well, that's fine. Our bodies fluctuate. We don't just weigh one number. We have water weight. It depends on when you go to the bathroom. It could be a number of things, but you're not just a fixed number all the time. So maybe you're just in a flux state and, don't worry about it, right? But the point is, she wasn't happy. And another day she'd come downstairs with a look on her face and say, honey, what's wrong? And she'll say, oh, I weighed myself and I lost a pound. And I'm like, well, that's cool. That's great. Like if you lost a pound, that means that what you're doing is working, right? You're eating right, you're exercising, you're drinking lots of water. But she's like, yeah, but I've just been working so hard and, it's just a pound. And, I'm like, well, listen, you don't want to lose too much weight too fast. And honestly, you don't really have that much weight to lose. So, but the point of the matter is, it didn't matter if the number went up or down. She was not happy with it. So I actually took the scale and I hit it, because she wasn't getting a good feeling from a single number that had nothing to do with the way she looked, had nothing to do with how she felt. It was simply an arbitrary number, okay? And this relates to you in the same way with your downloads, okay? So you're gonna look at this number, and if the number goes down, you're gonna feel like, I'm losing subscribers. What's wrong? Something's wrong. What's going on? But that's good news, because people that don't want to listen to your podcast are unsubscribing. And why would you want somebody who didn't want to listen to your podcast listening to your podcast, right? It's the same thing with an email list. People are going to unsubscribe. Your email isn't for them. So let them go. And if the number goes up, I can tell you from personal experience, it'll never be enough. If you get to 100, you're going to want 500. If you get to 500, you're going to want to get to 1,000 and 5,000 and 10,000 and 20,000 and 100,000. It'll never be enough. You'll always want more downloads. So either way you look at it, you're never going to be happy by looking at your download numbers. So I know you're going to look at your download numbers. I know you're addicted to analytics, and I want to give you 3 ways that you can have more of a healthy relationship with the download number. So the number one thing you can do is set a date and stick to it, right? So maybe you're going to look at those numbers every quarter, and you're going to go in with the headspace of, it doesn't matter what the number is. It doesn't matter if it went up or down. It is what it is. It doesn't define me. It doesn't have any bearing on how good my podcast is. And go in and look at the number and go on with it your day, so at least you know what it is. The other way would be to have some type of accountability partner, somebody who could go peek for you, somebody who can look and kind of give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down, like, so you don't have to know what this number is. Because again, It's just an arbitrary number, right? If you enjoy podcasting and you're giving value, it doesn't matter if you're giving that to 50 people or 1,000 people, right? Imagine if you get 100 downloads every episode. That means that every time you release an episode, it's like there's 100 people sitting in a room waiting to hear what you have to say, which actually sounds kind of nerve-wracking when you put it like that, right? But you may be thinking, I've only got 100 downloads. Okay. The next way is if you're going to look to only use those numbers to improve your content. So you're not looking at it as the big enchilada, right? You're looking at it as, oh, this episode got a lot of downloads where this episode didn't. And instead of looking at it like you failed, you're going to look at it like, oh, they really liked the episode about this topic or this guest more than this topic or this guest, and then make more content around that genre or guest or topic or the value you're bringing, okay? So only use the numbers for good, not evil. Okay, so those are the 3 ways that you can have more of a healthy interaction with your podcast downloads. I just say stop looking. Make the podcast, make the art that you want to listen to, and you will slowly grow your audience. It doesn't matter if you have 50 or 500 or 1,000, as long as you are continuing to put out good content. If it makes you happy and you have other goals in your business, other goals in your life of what your podcast is going to do, you'll have so much more fun. So I just wanted to tell you that the number of downloads that you get per episode, it means nothing. It means nothing to me, and it means nothing to you. It doesn't define who you are as a podcaster. So get out there, make some awesome episodes, put the art out into the world that you want to see, and I'll see you in the next episode. Psst, hey, have you ever missed a podcast episode because your guest canceled or you're feeling uninspired? Well, don't worry, it happens to everyone. Now, podcasts are super easy to start, but it's really hard to remain consistent. But I've got good news for you. I have something totally free for you to never miss a podcast episode again. They're called pod decks. Now, this is the episode deck. It has 50 unique episode starting podcasting prompts on it. So all you have to do is pull a card and start podcasting spontaneously. So if you've ever had a guest cancel, if you've ever been uninspired or just don't know what to podcast about next, this is a great tool for your podcasting toolbox. Now the best news is I have a limited quantity that I'm giving away for free. All I ask is that you pay for shipping. So go to free.poddecks.com right now to claim your very own episode deck. You will never miss releasing another podcast episode again.